All right, everybody. I know it's been a while since we've put out one of these. I apologize for that. Um, we were thinking about where I wanted to go with this and what I wanted to do, and I got a ton of questions and feedback from one of my Twitter and Instagram posts the other day about XA Score or the XA app, which is something that we've been using new for the last about 4 weeks in our program, and it's been absolutely tremendous for us. And so I kind of shared that on my social media platforms these maybe about a week ago, 3 or 4 days ago. And I just got a bunch of questions on it. And so, anytime I get a bunch of questions, it's always easier just to take to this platform to answer them, hopefully holistically. And so I just wanted to get you guys as many answers as I could. So no better way to do that than to bring the founder, the CEO, the guy who's making it all work, the guy who started the XA Score himself, Brad McCaslin. Brad, thanks for taking some time to come talk to us today.
Matt, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate all your work with us and your trust in us, and it's been fun. It's been fun seeing the perspective of what we're doing in a lot of ways through your eyes, which I trust that as many people do. Those that are listening, we trust what you think, what you say, and your experiences.
I appreciate that. And, I guess what this is and what this isn't for everybody listening is, I don't want to sit here and feel like, you guys are listening to pretty much a 30-minute sponsorship ad for a podcast. That's not what this is. This is what I can tell you guys is I wouldn't spend time or use my platform to inform you guys about this if I didn't think it was a huge help. And I can't tell you guys, I think this has had a huge impact on our athletes, number one, in their daily performance, but especially in this day and age, their mental health, which we'll get to here in a minute. It's been incredible how it's helped me build relationships with my athletes. I never in a million years thought that would be the case with this app when Brad first introduced me to it. And then just for my staff, it's just made our lives easier, and it's only going to continue. And the thing that I always kind of joke with Brad about is, this is the worst version of this product right now. Like, as far as it's in its infancy, it's only going to grow and get bigger and better. So we'll kind of, Brad, I'd like to talk a little bit about, obviously, what it is, what it offers now. At some point in the next 30 minutes, I'd like to get into the future of where this thing's even going to go. And then we can talk a little about, you want to ask kind of how we use it and everything like that might be good too. So why don't you start there, Brad? Just tell people about what the hell is XA app? What is XA Score? What is it? And just give them some brief rundown on it.
I will. So, first, my background quickly, 22 years coaching college football, being in college athletics, being in high school athletics prior to that. One of the things that I have always tried to do in those environments is I'm always looking for the more efficient way to do a better job. Like, how do we make a more of an impact, either in our processes, in our systems, or in our players, so that they can understand what they need to do better, where we can connect with them better, as you kind of mentioned. What can we do to be better, and to not be, not get caught in this is how we always do things, syndrome that sometimes happens. So when I stepped away from the game, about a year and a half ago, I never stopped thinking about especially you guys at Buffalo, where are the challenges at, and where can we, what opportunities do we see with those? And so my mind kept working. Really, it started with just some communication, like watching how guys needed to be somewhere and weren't, and how do we get them there consistently. And so that, at the essence of this, is where it began. I believe that a strong culture in a football program or any sports program, or when your guys are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, and then doing what they're supposed to do. And so how do we give, just a real consistent, clear process for that, where everybody knows it in real time, can operate efficiently with that information, and then you can give feedback to your team, to your positions, to your individuals, like who is consistently on time doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And so building that mechanism, it really started out with centering around something that you do in your world every single day, or virtually every day, which is weigh guys in. And so it became a mechanism. Let's get a body weight. Let's set a time to do that. let's consistently measure if they're doing that on time, and let's use an automated system to report that information back to you, and also put it so you're not no data entry, put that into your system and into your hands in real time, and measure that that attendance in that way. What grew from that was a multitude of ideas, and some of which we've acted on, some of which are in the queue, and then some of them are just a continuation of where this is going to go. But in essence, the first step we decided is let's just get some baseline information of how, now that we have their weight, what else can we know about them first thing in the morning, or first thing before a workout, or whatever the case may be. So we started asking, how are you feeling each day? What was your sleep quality like last night? When did you go to sleep? When did you wake up? And then what's your soreness level like? And some of that just working with you, discussing what's the most important things to get at the onset of a day, that began that process. And so what we saw ourselves as was becoming that extra assistant. We're collecting information where normally you have someone with, either at a computer or at a clipboard, writing down information, checking, asking, getting this information, writing down the time people are checking, whatever the case may be. We're replacing that individual and freeing that person up to do their own things. And now we're giving you not just the data, but insights on the data in real time to allow you to do some of the things I know we're going to talk about with your interaction with your student athletes. The next element of that is scoring it. Right now it's XA. Okay. The second phase, which is completed and not yet deployed everywhere, is XA score. So when an individual is supposed to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, then we score if they are or are not based on that. So they start developing an on-time score. If they're supposed to be there at 7, at 6:50, they get 100 out of 100 points. At 6:59 and 59 seconds, they get 90 points out of 100. You still get a good score, but not the same if you're walking in a second before the expected time. At 1 second after 7, you get a 70, and it starts ticking down at a relative rate. So now we're developing a consistency score of your on-time discipline within a program, still only measured by the weight scale at that point, but soon to be measured across all activities that you're assigned to in a program, in a sports program. So now you're going to be able to tell who of your individuals are consistently on time or not, get to the bottom of why, who's your best position on time, who's your best side of the ball on time, who is bringing up your culture and who is not living up to your culture with regard to the discipline of being on time.
No, I love it. And I think the most powerful thing to you there, guys that are listening, that I think that Brad just said that I would agree with 100% is the best way to describe how this experience has been for us is I literally feel like we have another assistant strength coach. And that is just the truth, guys. So, I'm sure we can get into more of these details here in a second, and I'll give Brad the floor back, but that's been the biggest thing is on a daily basis, just with a lot of different variables, which we'll get into. I feel like I have another assistant strength coach. I feel like I have an incredibly reliable intern that I can give these duties to, and they're going to get done. And it's all just through an app. So that's been a huge part of it is just, said, there's a lot of, some schools have different situations. I know every strength coach I know could use an extra set of hands, especially a reliable set of hands. And that's what this feels like. That's what XA App has been for us.
Yeah, that was really important to us. How can we quickly do that for you? So right now, the student athletes in 10 seconds or less are managing that data. You're getting that data pushed to a dashboard so someone could be at a computer looking at it in real time as it's coming in. It's also being pushed to your mobile device. So you're seeing if you've got a check-in time at 7 o'clock, you're able to see on your phone, what's the level of our feeling coming into the building as it's happening? Is it going up? Is it going down? How does it relate to yesterday? Or soreness, or man, look at our sleep. We did not sleep well last night. And I can tell that within the first few minutes of our guys starting to arrive, what does our sleep look like from last night? And so, it's the extra assistant that doesn't have to walk down the hall and tell you these things, or tally it on a sheet of paper, or find out by talking to a multitude of people and then reporting it to you and then remembering how it was reported to you versus someone else. It's consistent data in real time coming to you in the way that you want it to come to you.
Yeah. And it's just things that we know, I guess we take for granted, but that we still do. And they take a lot of our time. We even had to take attendance once this off season. That's the first time in my career I've not had to take attendance, right? If someone's not there, we know they're not there. They haven't done their daily check-in. They haven't done their daily weigh-in. Every single strength and conditioning coach in the world at some point has taken body weights. You sat there monotonously for hours on end taking body weights, whether it was when we were an intern or even as a head strength coach. I've done it before, obviously, but we've all spent a lot of time taking body weights. And just imagine if I could tell you that all that time you spent taking body weights, you could do it actually having conversations with your athletes, taking time to talk to them about other things, not just monotonously seeing a weight, writing down a weight. So, when part of the check-in system is through the scale, the guys, their weights right now, they type their own weights in, but eventually that'll be a scale that automatically inputs that weight into the system. So there's a second part of it. How many hours have you listeners spent typing in body weights, right? Formulating body weight sheets. I know for me, that's been hours on end of my career, obviously earlier in my career, but for a lot of you, especially probably assistant strength coaches out there, or people who are running all your own things, how much time do you spend inputting that data? Okay, well, that's another thing the XA app does. It automatically puts those body weights in from what the players input into their body weight sheet, however you want that formulated. There's another huge advantage that we've had. That's just, like I said, that's time that one of my assistants doesn't spend an hour a day now doing, right? That's an hour he gets back daily. That's 5 hours a week he gets back. How much more productive is he now because of the 5 hours he gets back a week? I'll tell you guys, in the beginning of this, right when we first got, like I said, it's still growing. There wasn't a on the dashboard, there wasn't a quote unquote alert system yet. Whereas like if a guy came in and gave a poor feeling, I couldn't necessarily see it right away. I can now. That's something where we are, where if a guy comes in and he reports a 1 soreness, which is that's the most soreness you can have. I would get, I could look at the dashboard and that's going to pop up right there and say, hey, this athlete A is extremely sore. He has a 1 soreness. Okay. Well, that wasn't a thing right in the beginning. So I'm going to tell you a story. We had a kid who came in. He was our first lift group of the day. So obviously I didn't have time to go and look through the XA app yet. So he had come into the weight room. He just attitude terrible. Body language was terrible, was getting just mentally defeated by the way. I ended up throwing him out of the weight room. Had a really bad day. Well, you guessed it. I went back and looked at his XA daily check-in, and he submitted a 1 for feeling. So we just say, how do you feel? He put a 1 in for feeling, which is the worst feeling you can have. It pretty much says that, hey, I'm something serious going on. He put a 1 in for soreness. I'm extremely sore. I feel like I can't move. He slept 3 hours, and the quality of that sleep was a 1. Okay, so pretty much as bad of a score as you can input, he input. Now, knowing that, now, it all made sense. And now we're at the point where we have those situations sometimes, but I can just quickly grab my phone before every lift group and click on my XA dashboard, and it tells me, it'll alert me, hey, you need to go talk to Joe Smith. Joe Smith, whatever, his sleep report was a 1. His soreness was a 1. So I'll go talk to Joe Smith. Hey, Joe, you reported a 1 for soreness. What's going on? Coach, my right hamstring is really bugging me. Okay, well, that's great because we're about to sprint. So it's good that I know that. I know I'm continuing to ramble right now a little bit, but I'll tell you the other thing that I've been absolutely shocked by is, I believe I have a really good relationship with my athletes. It's something that I pride myself in and I work hard at. But I will still tell you this, with just the ego of athletes in general, they're not a lot of driven people. They're not complainers, right? They're not, when you ask them how they're doing, they're not just going to say, Coach, something's really going on at home. I'm having a tough time. Usually you have to pull that out of them. Well, what I've seen with this XA app is they'll tell the app. They won't tell me, but they'll tell the app. And so what I've started to do is, it's a scoring system 1 to 5. 5 is I feel great, fantastic, I'll conquer the world right now. 1 is I feel really bad. Like there's, I just feel bad. There's something going on. And so every time pretty much for me, I get a 2 or a 1 submitted, I'll call that guy in the afternoon, or I'll pull him into my office and I'll just, I don't always refer to the XA app, but I'll just say, hey, what's going on? How's everything going in life? What, and I can't tell you how many conversations that I've had that I would never have had if it wasn't for the XA score. And I'm pretty cerebral with our guys. Like I said, it's something I pride myself in. I have a lot of those conversations, but there were so many guys that I was blown away by the things they had to tell me. Man, coach, this is going on with my girlfriend back home. And just a guy that would never just come out and talk to you about it, but it has led to those conversations. So those things, as far as how it's improved our athletes' lives, and then how it's improved and given time back to me and my assistant strength coaches, our assistant strength coaches, has been tremendous. And the platform in general has just been a huge aid. It's been very helpful for us.
Yeah, I think you nailed something really, really important. And at the onset of this, we were looking for efficiency, right? We were looking for improved communication, understanding things that we were missing, or we had to wait to track down certain stuff. The next aspect of that, though, that you touched on in the realm of culture, like when I think of in my years of coaching, what leads to great culture beyond just being on time is trust. Like trust is at the center point of good culture. And trust is not something that you and I don't get that just because we say, trust me, I'm your coach. Like we have to earn that. How do you earn that? Well, one of the ways is developing a genuine connection with your athletes. Like if the saying has been for a long time, once they know you care, then they trust you. And that's really at the element of that. But it's also being consistent, like consistently the same person that they expect, or what they expect from you, you give them so that they can rely upon that and you can develop that connection. And so what you just described is another level of culture. Yeah, we're on time and we're doing what we're supposed to do, but we're also like understanding of each other enough to where you can have that conversation with those individuals. You can find out more about what's going on in their world. You can make their day better. You can, or maybe just them explaining it to you helps you be a better coach, right? Just helps you to deal with a situation a little bit better, gives you awareness, right? And then that makes the whole situation, it improves connection, and therefore improves your trust and culture in your program. The next thing, and I think this is important, and you talked about this a little bit, is that it helps with decisions, individual decisions or program decisions. If I, as a coach, like you said, that the individual that came into the weight room and had low scores all the way down, you stepping in front of that individual, if you know that in advance, you're going to make a decision to impact that person and redirect his day slightly. All right. And he's going to win in that. He's going to have the experience in the weight room that you want him to have. You're going to circumvent a hassle, a challenge, and conflict, to do that. But now think about this too. If you've got a position group and their soreness level is inordinate compared to everybody else, your wide receivers all have a 2-level soreness and nobody else really does. Why is the wide receivers the most sore group? Now you might make a decision too about how to deal with that position group. Maybe that's in the weight room. Maybe that's in recovery. Maybe that's in activation. Maybe that's in practice. There's a lot of different areas. Maybe it's in the training room. There's a lot of different areas that you may be impacting those guys, making decisions as a coach to improve that group situation with the awareness that just some simple data provides you. We have a number of programs that are using it and have told me some stories just like what you did relative to the feeling score with guys. And so we have one program that doesn't have the resources to buy GPS for their entire team. They can't do that. It's not feasible. But each day he's looking at their feeling and soreness scores by positions, and he's getting an indication of, am I about to redline a group, right? Am I getting close to pushing a group too far? Do I need to change something? Maybe I don't need to do one-on-ones, wide receivers, DBs today, because I've got 7 DBs that are complaining about soreness. I've talked to them now because they've complained about it. It is hamstring soreness. We're close to causing a problem. No, they're not funding a GPS system, but they're getting a semblance of that information provided to them to help them make the decisions that you might. I know you guys use some GPS there. You might make a decision in the same way with the information that's being provided. The difference is that the kid is telling you, and again, if you've got a strong culture built on trust and connection and people are honest, then that information is vital to understanding what is best for your program as a whole and for individuals.
Yeah, I think of a few things, the first, one of my initial, when we started talking about all this, one of my initial things is, come on, like Brad, one thing I do really well is I know my athletes. Okay. Like I don't need an app to tell me how to talk to my athletes or if I know my athletes.
Right.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. That has been the biggest eye opener here is, yes, I make it an absolute mission every single morning that anybody who walks into our facility, I'm going to say, good morning, how are you? And I'm going to give them a quick positive note of something. I'm going to talk to all my athletes. Okay. But I don't care who you are. If you have a 7 a.m. lift, you are not going to have an in-depth conversation that can dissect positives and negatives with every athlete, right? You might be able to see a guy walking with poor body language and you can grab him and pull him and say, okay, I know something, but how many do you miss? And my point is I didn't know how many I was missing, right? Mm-hmm. To where this asks 120 guys that question every single day. So it gives me that insight, that internal view that I just, to be honest with you, thought I had, but you don't have it. And I'm telling you, for people that are using tracking systems or asking these type of questions, questionnaires, whatever it may be, if you probably kind of had this epiphany, but that was an epiphany for me. It's just, man, I would have never guessed that guy was having a bad day. Like I wouldn't be able to tell. He hides it too well. That's a guy that would never complain about soreness. Because I ask him all the time, hey, how was you feeling from the workout yesterday? They would just, yeah, great, coach, let's go. But then they'll put a 2 on the soreness score. So then I'll go up and say, dude, you put a 2 on the soreness score. You just told me you felt great. Feeling great's like a 5. Well, coach, my right shoulder's bugging me. I got this. And it's just for that piece of it, that's definitely been the biggest surprise and help is just more or less what this does, guys, is allows you to have a conversation with 120 guys in the snap of a finger every day and pretty much in 10 seconds, right? Yeah. As a director of strength and conditioning, or if you're a head football coach, you are the only people on your staff that are responsible for 120 people if we're talking football, right? Coordinators are maybe 50 or 60. Position coaches are anywhere from 5 to 15, right? Depending on the position, a little more manageable. But it is extremely challenging as a head coach or as a strength and conditioning coach to have those 120 conversations on a daily basis. So this helps with that, okay? One of the other big concerns I had was buy-in, right? These are 18 to 22-year-old kids. You never really know if they're going to buy into something like this. But for whatever reason, it speaks their language. They like it. They've from the day we started using it, they enjoy it. They talk about it, right? we have a fueling station. I've walked into our fueling station and they don't know I'm in there, right? They're all facing the other way, talking at the table. And I've overheard guys say like, man, this freaking XA app makes me want to go to bed earlier because I don't want to be put in 5 hours. Like I'm like, so it even motivates them to want to take care of their body more, to want to sleep more. So those things, once again, and why I'm sharing this, why I wanted Brad to come on is at the end of the day, if this can help 5, 10, 100, 500 coaches do their jobs better, I want that. I want to, for those of you that follow me, it's part of my passion to help move our industry in the right direction. And I think this has definitely been extremely helpful with that. But at the same time, if we're all in this together, it's about changing kids' lives. And it's about putting athletes in the best position to succeed, not in just football, but in life. And so, yes, is this a secret that I really think is great? Sure. But it's something that I think can be so impactful on athletes and coaches, giving times back to coaches, which gives times back to their family, giving more a platform to open up in conversation with athletes. So yeah, I wanted to share it. I want people to know about it because I think it's something that it's beneficial. And like I keep telling Brad, like the crazy thing to me is this is literally the worst version of it right now. It's just the truth that it is in its infancy stage, right? It's only going to get better. It's only going to get more user friendly. I call Brad and I say, hey Brad, I don't like this. This part doesn't work well. And he goes, okay, sweet, let's fix it. and he fixes it. Hey, what if we did this instead of that, Brad? This is kind of, yeah, great. It's at the point where it's evolving daily. It's better now than it was 4 weeks ago. And so I'm excited about it. You can tell. I think our players are excited about it. It's working well for us. And yeah, so.
Yeah, if I throw some little salt and pepper on top of that, because I appreciate that very much. The one thing that we were talking about it recently, when we implement SCORE, the stuff that's coming down, down the pipe, when we implement SCORE, one thing that won't be scored is their report of soreness, their report of feeling, and their report of sleep. We want them to be, they're not going to be punished for those responses. We want honest, authentic responses in those. So SCORE is not a part of that. You being on time, that's a score, okay? Your weight consistency and your progress towards weight goals, like you at Buffalo are setting weekly goals for those who need it. You have playing weight goals for those who are on track, making sure that you're managing that. So we have done a lot of analytics in behind. That's been the last 2 months of work, is how do we take that process and score it? So we're scoring both progress towards your weight goal and your consistency to deal with those. We don't want to see those wild swings in weight. We don't want to see those 6-pound days or 5-pound days. We're looking for an expected normal range of progression in the direction in which you're supposed to go. And we're scoring that. And so now that's what your score is built on, or those two things. Eventually, if you're tracking it and you have a score like an in-game grade score, a hydration grade score, a nutrition grade score, an athletic training performance grade score, the weight, whatever you're scoring will all compile into this. And a student athlete is going to have a single number in the program. What's his XA score? And it's going to, the universal language of that, between college, different sports, high school level, like that's all the same language. What's your exit score? It says the same thing about you. It does talk about your on time and your discipline. It does talk about your progress towards goals. It does talk about your performance in the eyes of your coaches. It's all conclusive, and it gives that central feedback. So imagine being a college recruiter. And one of the things you want to know, you can watch the film, you can see how people are doing on the field, you can see all that kind of stuff. You can see their height, you can see their weight. I want to see their XA score. Like, how is this kid disciplined to be on time? Is he, let's get real deep. Like, does he set weight goals? Is he on track with that? Like, what else? 6% of these of high school players play college football. That's the world we know. Okay, so you have to find a lot of ways to rule out people, right? And there's things that make people fit, but what separates them? Okay, what are some of the things? If I know a kid is consistently on time in high school, that's an asset that I want a part of my program. And so if I know that number is relative and is the same from school to school to school, and it's the same thing that I have in my system at Buffalo, I have the same on-time XA score as they do at a high school. That's apples to apples comparison. It makes sense, and we're talking the same thing. And you're building an even stronger bond to your culture and expectations.
What else, Brad, do you think that the people, I guess about the current product right now, is there anything that you'd like them to know or be able to take away from this podcast?
Yeah, when we started it, the most important thing, like you, was trying to impact student athletes. That was the perspective. Is how do we make things better for them? We in the process, we've done some things from a coaching perspective to solve some challenges, but really we want to put some value back in them. And so for example, it was important that they interact with it only as minimally as they need to. 10 seconds to interact is important. If they got to spend 10 minutes on it a day, that's going to become a problem. So how can they quickly bounce in and out of it, give you the data, and then how can they look back at their own selves? Okay, I put a low feeling score today, but I also put 3 hours of sleep. Or I put a low soreness score today, and I put 2 hours of sleep. And now they're making the mental connection. Like, man, I got to get to bed earlier. Like you said, they're talking about it. Like I've been feeling like crap for 2 days. I got to get some sleep, right? That's the habits that we're trying to impact, for them to be able to make some of their own decisions in their own lives away from you, to make their world that we all share together better, and then, like anything, if there's strength in it, it's going to reverberate across your team. If I'm, within my position, if we're all in there talking a little bit and I'm bringing my position down, I'll have pressure to be better, right? If I'm the guy bringing our sleep score down, okay, I'm going to make it better. If I'm the guy that's bringing our on time down, I'm going to be better for my team. And then we all win in that situation. And I think first and foremost, the kids do. And that's what really kicked this off, was to try to make an impact in their lives. Because if you're not, then you're wasting your time. If you're self-serving in this, it's not going to work.
I agree 100%. And, anybody listening, any of my platforms, guys, if you want to learn more about this, or if you want to, me to directly contact or put you in contact with Brad too, just whatever, DM me on Twitter or Instagram or email me, and I'll give you guys more information on it if you want to know more about how we used it. Brad, where can people find you? Where can people learn more about XA App if they want to do that?
It seems like the majority of the contact is started through Twitter, and that's an easy one in our world. XA Score. It's on Twitter that way. It's also on Instagram that way. Self-admitted, I am not very familiar with Instagram, but we're working on that. We also have a website, xascore.coach. So xascore.coach is the website. You can find a lot of information out about that. And also, I'll give you my email. It's Bmccaslin. So Bmccaslin at xa1972.com. And makes me feel a little bit like I should explain that. So XA is your extra assistant. It's also my middle name. All right. If you want to know the story behind that, reach out to me and I'll tell you that story. It'll take about 2 minutes. I won't waste your time. I'll tell you that story behind that name, and then we'll get into it. So I can say this: if you want to try it out for a month and see if it's right for your system and your program, we can do that. We'll work with you to do that. It takes literally a few minutes to onboard at most, to make sure your whole team is squared away, a day, right? A cycle of a day, to make sure that there's not a mistyped email or a mistyped password or something along those lines. But honestly, we can onboard an entire football team in minutes, and then they can be up and running. I did it with a high school team where probably 60% of the team was walking up to me saying, "What is this?" Typed it into their phone and showed me that they had the right app from the store, XA Score. And I said, "Yep, that's it." And then they typed in their password and they said, "Okay." And they clicked the code and did a daily check-in. And from never having it on their phone to having data in the coach's hands took less than 30 seconds.
There you go, people. You just got offered from the man a month free trial. Like I said, if anything, guys, try it, see if you like it. I can't tell you that how much I recommend it. It is at least worth a shot. If it's worth the time that it would take to try it for a month, guys. And then you make your decisions from there. But especially, if you're in need of another set of hands, right, and you don't have much money, this is cheaper than buying an assistant strength coach, right? And paying for that. If you're looking to get time back in your life, right, to get 5 to 10 hours back in your life a week, right, where else you could spend that, whether it's with your family or developing a family or other relationships or self-development. If you want that time back, it's worth trying. And then if you want to help to really create awareness, like Brad said, create awareness really into what's going into some of your players' lives, it is worth a try. So give it a shot. Brad, I appreciate you coming on and telling the people about this and giving them some information. Like I said, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to answer questions from how we used it. But if there's anything specific regards to the actual XA app and onboarding it and getting in your program, go directly to Brad. We'll tag all that information in the show notes, Brad, just so you have those.
Yep.
You can just be a click away on that. So Coach McCaslin, I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure talking. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it a ton. Thanks for having me, and all the best to all the listeners.